So, dear friends, let us start by paying homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today I thought let us start with some gratitude. I was reading a research done on gratitude, and it was telling about so many benefits of gratitude, which is for your physical well-being. There is research that says people who practice regular gratitude actually their illnesses, psychosomatic illnesses, that is illnesses that have a link to our mental well-being, things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high sugar levels, various heart ailments, and there are many, many illnesses that are identified, which apart from physical shortcomings that cause them, they are highly linked to the mental well-being as well. And these illnesses show a decline for people who regularly practice gratitude. You remember that the Buddha was one person who really role modeled the practice of gratitude. So I thought let us start with it. Other benefits of practicing gratitude is shown that your long-term happiness increases by some 10%, which is a significant amount. Then things like depression, anxiety, worry, all those things come down. What else? There was a lot. It was a long research that I posted it on LinkedIn actually. So, so let us start by practicing a bit of gratitude. So let us first remind ourselves what are we doing. So we are trying to find the peace that the Buddha found 2,600 years ago. And this peace was something that he felt all humans can get to. But he also felt that the humans may not be interested in this, right? Because it is going against the flow. So he referred to this as swimming upstream. So the path to peace, the path to enlightenment, he mentioned it is similar to swimming upstream when the river naturally flows downstream. So this is the only reason he said, being born a human, you have the brain, the capacity to understand this, you have the opportunity to develop yourselves towards this, but your will to do it, that is always the problem, whether you are interested enough, whether you see value in this. That is the only thing that is keeping you away from it. And what he was, of course, describing is that we are unconscious slaves to a natural automatic process, a natural automatic system, a natural automatic process or a system that's sole objective through evolution has been to ensure that this species pass on the gene pool to the next species, not the next species, the next generation. This generation of the species passes on the genetic gene pool into the next generation. That is the sole purpose of this natural process. So it's really funny actually, right? When we think of the MBAs we have studied, the corporate jobs we have held, and our egos like to think that, we are so important and we added so much value, we have made such a contribution, but no, actually, the natural system only wanted you to reproduce. The entire system is designed through evolution, nature. The only sole objective is for reproduction and keep passing the genes to the next generation. So when you think of it like that, it suddenly, your significance suddenly seems to like, okay. So therefore, everything else about us, the way we, what we see, what we hear, what we feel, and how we react to all of that is part of this unconscious um, slavery. We are enslaved into this unconsciously, into this natural automatic system. So what the Buddha found was 2,600 years ago, he saw the system through his mind's eye, through the Vipassana techniques that he practiced, and he saw a way to overcome the whole unconscious, natural automatic process, and to be in a space where you are not enslaved by it. And then through that, he found that it is very, very peaceful. And all the issues he had when he was enslaved into that process, what were the issues? The biggest issue is the misunderstanding that there is me, I, myself. And through that, there are things I like and things I dislike. And through that, the need to control everything around you so that you attract and get and keep and maintain the things you like, and you repel and you get rid of, and you do everything possible to keep the things you dislike as away and far away from you as possible. And all of this becomes then your life, what do you call it, work of your life. This is all you do from the time you wake up until you go to sleep. Blindly reacting to the stimulus that comes through your eyes, your ears, your nose, tongue, body, and the thoughts and moods and emotions that comes to your mind. So what he also discovered was that as long as we try to investigate this through the six sense laws, which is the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the unconscious state of the mind. As long as we try to investigate it through this, you will not see it because the process is not clear. It's beyond the scope of these sense laws. So by using Vipassana, and that is why he said Ekayano Maggo, it's the only way to use Vipassana meditation, which is to start seeing what is happening through the mind's eye, through wisdom, through the mind. And then it becomes very clear. And for each person, this insight may differ slightly, like where you get the insight, what gives you that aha moment where you understand it. For each person, it can be different. And for each person, how you start looking at it can be different. So the Buddha was a master teacher. So he was able to tell you, depending on your outlook towards life, your mental structure and everything, he would give you a simple example and tell you to focus on that and that alone, and you would get it. But nowadays, since we lack that level of sophistication of being able to guide people, what we do is we give things that tools, a mass of tools, and tell you to figure it out, try these things and see which one seems to work best for you. And how will you know? How will you gauge? So these are some simple questions you can ask to understand whether you are improving. So question number one is, do you start seeing this natural flow process? Do you see how you are enslaved to this process? That's the starting point. Do you see your enslavement? Right. And that is what we try to do through the practice here. Sitting down and practicing is what we call a formal practice. And then in your daily life, that is where the real practice is. That is where the real practice is. So let me tell you a story, and then we'll do the gratitude piece before we start the meditation. But let you tell the story since it's just flowing that way. So recently, a friend was visiting me and was telling me that how she's very busy and unable to join these sessions. And I said, that's perfectly fine, I understand. But I said, the Buddha's teaching, it is defined as a precious jewel. The Buddha is defined as a precious jewel because he found this, he discovered this amazing thing for all of us. The Dhamma is described as a precious jewel because that is the teaching that will help us to understand what the Buddha understood. And the Sangha, and here the Sangha is meant as all beings who are in the path, who have, there's the Sovan, Satipatthana, Yanadam, enlightenment path, 4 stages. So anybody in those 4 stages is described as the Sangha. Who are guiding others, the monks who are guiding others. So they are all described as precious jewels because what you are going to experience and enjoy is so precious. There's nothing more precious metal or item on this planet or in the universe or in the heavens and the Brahmalokas that can even come close to what this is. So that kind of a precious thing, if we imagine that it is only possible by sitting formally in a meditation, no, that's not how it is. It's not what it is. It is something that you need to investigate yourself. And the best place to investigate is when you are faced with challenges, when you are under pressure, when you feel like life is hard to live, when you feel angry because things are not going the way you want them to go, when you're feeling sad because things are not taking place or happening the way you want to, when you feel disappointed, when you feel fear and worry and anxiety about what is going to happen next because you have no idea. And those are the places where we must bring out this precious jewel and investigate and see what is going on. So I asked my friend, I said, look, it's okay that you can't come for these practice sessions, but that it shouldn't stop you from practicing anyway. So I asked, okay, tell me an instance where you feel really frustrated, really irritated. Tell me an instance. So she thought a bit and said, okay, my only son, he when he is done with the washroom, the bathroom, the floor is wet. I hate when the floor is wet. There is no reason for the floor to be wet. It's just that he's careless and I don't like it. So I get really irritated, really annoyed when that happens. Obviously, I haven't seen the washroom, but I'm sure it's a nicely partitioned, demarcated, carpeted, a really nice washroom where you don't need to drop water everywhere. But if you're careless and if you don't really care much for these things, then of course you will drop water everywhere. And I can understand a person who is keen to keep it nice and clean, to think that somebody else in the house, someone very close and precious to you, doesn't care for it in that manner, that can be irritating. So I said, this is excellent. This is a good opportunity because it's live, it happens frequently. And such family members or friends, they are your teachers because they teach you patience, they teach you, give you opportunities to practice the Dhamma. So they are very, very valuable and precious teachers. So how would you apply the Dhamma to this? So I said, okay, think of it like this. Your irritation arises because of what? Because of what you see. She said, yes, when I see that, I just lose it. So what is it that you're seeing? And she says, I see water on the floor. And I said, now who understands this water on the floor? who is telling you that there's water on the floor? She said, why, my eye can see it. I said, yes, then that is the problem. Your eye has nothing to do with it. Your eye is a neutral doorway. It's a doorway that simply transmits data. Your eye can see light, colors, shapes. That's it. Your eye has no idea that this is your bathroom or washroom. Your eye has no idea that you have a son. Your eye has no idea that he shouldn't have done this. And your eye has no idea what is being seen. Your eye is a doorway that transmits light in the shape of colors, in the form of colors and shapes. And the very sensitive touching of light on the, if you think of a camera, like everything that this world has as inventions, everything was based on something natural. So the eye was the inspiration for the creation of the camera, because nobody can just think of this out of their head. They see something, they get inspired, and they try to find out how is this happening, and they replicate it. So the light is touching, I forget the name, something, and that creates a very subtle vibration, a very subtle sensation, and it gets transmitted, maybe electromagnetic signals or whatever, through the visual nerve to the brain, the supercomputer. Because the supercomputer has to now process this data, the data that is coming through the eye sense door. And how does the supercomputer process the data? Now that is where you come in. You have fed the program. This is like any other computer program. The computer program runs based on the data that is put in, right? So garbage in, garbage out, right? Simply, that is the formula. So whatever we have fed in, that runs. So you have, I was telling my friend, you have fed into this program that water on the floor is a bad thing, right? Water on the floor because of my son is a worse thing, right? And my son is being extremely whatever, and you create a story. You create a story, so past memories and repetitive engagement of the same thing. It creates like a, if you think of your brain neuron pathways, a super highway. When this happens regularly, the more you think about a certain thing, it becomes a super highway. The more you use the road, what was a footpath becomes a gravel road, then becomes a tarred road, and eventually becomes a superhighway depending on the frequency. So this is probably a superhighway, because when I told you to think of what frustrates you, irritates you the most, this was what came to your mind. So you have created a superhighway, and you have inputted the data, and the reaction is also part of the input. You have put an input saying that when this program runs, the reaction is to get angry, to get irritated, to yell and scream and whatever you do. And if he's not in the house at the time, remind yourself to yell at him when he comes late, and he might come 12 hours later. So remember to yell at him when he comes 12 hours later, right? So this is the program. And once the program is set, it runs automatically. It's unconscious. It just runs. So then even setting of the program is an unconscious process. None of us will consciously put a program where we are the victim of the program, where we are causing so much unhappiness, pain and pressure, and so much of negativity on ourselves. Why would we do that? We have to be insane. And this is why the Buddha said, unenlightened people are insane, because this is what we do. Right. And it's because of ignorance, right? Because we don't understand that this is what is happening. That is, not understanding what is happening is what is called ignorance. And due to ignorance, we are doing insane things. We continue to feed the program. The feeding of the program is also unconscious. And so life goes on, and as we grow older, we wonder, why is life getting harder and harder? It should get easier and easier, but actually it's getting harder and harder. Why is this? That's because we continuously feed this kind of thing. And what was earlier footpaths in our childhood are now superhighways of pain and frustration and irritation and anxiety. And they have all become superhighways now because of continuous use, habits, and so on. So this is why it is a precious jewel, because he discovered this 2,600 years ago, and he discovered that simply observing this process, starting point was to observe what's happening. And that observation is what's going to help the gradual rewriting of it, the gradual unraveling of it, the gradual cessation of it. Starting point is to observe it, realize it, and watch it happening so that you can really see firsthand. Firsthand, you see, okay, this is what's happening. And then we first start seeing it while we are sitting in the formal practice, and then we start looking for it in the daily life. And the best place to look is when you are faced with such a problem, such a situation, such a moment. That is the best place to look, and then you can see. And the more we start doing this, building these new habits of observing, then something else starts to happen. And that is also, and thanks to the automatic process, that also then starts building into that a new habit is getting created. A new program is starting to override the old program. And that is why this is so amazing, right? And the effort we need to take is in the observation. And this is why the Buddha said, just observe. Be mindful. Be mindful of what's happening, right? So one more thing I wanted to share today is something really interesting I have read for a long time and heard, and it just connected over a talk, Dhamma talk I was listening by a venerable monk, where so what I have read and heard for a long time is that our mind in its original state knows nirvana. It knows what that enlightened state is. But the stimulus that come through our sense doors shatters that peace. Right? So I used to think about this, like, wow, how does the mind know this? And in a talk that was given recently, that kind of got clarified. So in a previous talk, Ajahn Brahm would mention about a gap between our thoughts. Right? So thoughts get created through the consciousness. Our consciousness is a very fast, gets created very fast. It's like so fast, we can't grasp it. And it's so fast that it rises and passes away. There's not even a moment where it stays and changes or anything. It just rises, passes away. Now, between two of that rising and passing away, there is an emptiness. Right? And we can experience it in this manner. And this is what Ajahn Brahm did in one talk. So listen to the words that I'm saying, and you will notice a gap between the words. Okay, so it's something like that, that gap between the words. What is there in that gap between the words? There's nothing. It's empty. So this emptiness, this nothing, is what this enlightened state is. That is how it is explained. And another interesting thing is words can describe what is within the sense domain. And therefore, words cannot describe enlightenment, because enlightenment is beyond that sense domain. It's something that is beyond what we see and hear and feel in the sense domain. So, and therefore, enlightenment or the state of enlightenment can never be described. Now, and that is why it has to be experienced. It has to be an experiential wisdom. So this gap between thoughts, the gap between thoughts, Ajahn Sumedho calls this the sound of silence. It's a beautiful thought to think that silence also is a sound, isn't it? The sound of silence. Emptiness, nothing. There's nothing. So this whole emptiness and nothing is something we remind ourselves usually. So if we think of our body, it is made of a small level we can think of is the cell. Some level smaller is atoms, and even smaller is subatomic particles. And imagine smaller, and you get to a point where that is it. It cannot get smaller than that. And this is what the Buddha saw now. I'm not sure whether he saw subatomic particles or whether he saw something smaller than that. But let's say for a moment that that's beyond the point. What he saw was particles that were so small, they cannot be seen by the eye. And those particles rise, change, pass away. Rise, change, pass away. So fast. So fast. Rising, changing, passing away. Rising, changing, passing away. I mean, in the Pali or the Magadha language he spoke, he said, Jati, Jara, Mara. Jati means rising, Jara is changing, Marana is passing away. Rising, changing, passing away. So that is the body. And that is why he said, so when you think of yourself, you think of yourself as your body and your mind. So which particle are you? And the moment you point to a particle that has passed away, it's too fast. So he said one reason why you cannot understand this is because your eye cannot see this. It's too small and too fast. And therefore, what your eye can see is the total effect. The total effect is you. And it looks solid. It looks solid. And when you touch your hand or your head, it feels solid, right? But in reality, it is a bundle of particles that is rising, changing, passing away, rising, changing, passing away. So you're changing every moment. The person who you were a moment ago has changed in the next moment. But because of the program, the algorithm that continues the program, apparently it looks like it's a permanent being. So yesterday you saw yourself in the mirror, today you see yourself in the mirror, nothing has changed. And tomorrow when you see yourself in the mirror, nothing has changed too, because that is what the eye sees. Right? And he called this like a mirage. A deer is seeing water on a dry day. But just because your eye sees it doesn't mean it's real. And this is what he said about what your eye sees, what my eye sees. Okay? So then when it comes to the mind, he said it's even faster than that. There's only rising and passing away. There's no changing. It's too fast. Rising and passing, rising and passing. But between those rising and passing away, there's a gap. And in that gap, there's an emptiness. Right. So this is why he said, if you think of who you are, there's nothing. There's nothing. It's an emptiness. But because we try to understand who we are through our sense doors, it feels like there's a person. There's me, myself, I. And because we have been practicing looking at the world, looking at me, making sense of things through our sense doors all our life, we are then mistaken and deceived all our lives into believing that there's a me, myself, I, And the baby was me, the child was me, the youth was me, and now this is me. And one day when this dies, that is also me. So we are freezing everything in a span of 80 years, 100 years, whatever it is. Whereas we don't exist even in a moment. That is the reality. But the perception is we do exist over time and space. We exist. So this whole misunderstanding that there is a permanent person here existing through time is the ignorance. The reality is there is nothing here, there's emptiness. And there's nothing to do here. Then observe it and be aware of this emptiness. And imagine in a state like that, when some stimulus comes to the eye, you see water on the bathroom floor. When some stimulus comes to the ear, somebody is praising you, somebody else is scolding you. What, for a person who is aware that there is emptiness, how does the brain process it? The brain will process it saying, there is nothing to see, as there is no one seeing. But there is an awareness of seeing in this point right now. But there is no permanent being seeing. That is what gets processed. So then you don't engage it. But you use it if it is useful. And this is why enlightened beings, if you offer them chocolate cake, and if they think that is what they want now, they'll have it. But it's very different from the way you and I will eat chocolate cake. Right? It's with that awareness. There is no permanent being here eating it. But there is a awareness of eating in this moment. And that's it. So there is nothing to get desires and get attached to. There's nothing to get aversion and repel. Right? So getting desires and getting attached to something is what the Buddha said is lobha, greed, or desire. Not liking something and repelling it, trying to get rid of it is what he called in the language dvesha, aversion. And going through all of this because you believe that there is a person here, me, myself, I, who likes things, who dislikes things, and I want to control this. And that is ignorance, which is moha. So lobha, dvesha, moha, he said the three roots. These are the three roots that causes everything. And that is lobha, dvesha, moha. Greed, aversion, and ignorance. So this is what we are going to practice today. And we are going to observe this. We are going to observe this. And in order for us to start, let us, as I said at the beginning, let us start with gratitude. So there are various forms of meditation. One form is called Buddhanusati, is exactly this, feeling a lot of gratitude to the Buddha, because the Buddha is a precious jewel. If it weren't for this precious jewel, you and I will never get this opportunity to understand that we are enslaved in a natural, automatic process. A natural automatic process whose only interest is through evolution, to pass a gene pool to the next generation. Nothing else. Nothing else. And we are enslaved in it. And through our ignorance, we see things that will cause us unhappiness as things that cause us happiness. We see things that in reality that cannot be controlled as things that can be controlled. We see things in reality that is changing all the time as things that are not changing. So due to ignorance, we see impermanence as permanent. We see things that will cause unhappiness as sources of happiness. We see things that are beyond our control as things that we can control. And these things we call anitya, dukkha, anatta. Anitya is impermanence. Dukkha is the unsatisfactory nature of things. Anatma is this. There's no one controlling this. There's no one driving this. The emptiness. This is empty. There's no permanent being that we have misunderstood as me, myself, I. There's nothing here. It's empty. So this is the Buddha, the precious. That is why the Buddha is called a precious jewel. Precious jewel. And the teaching, all of this that I'm telling you, how did it get to us? How did it come to this moment? And that is why we have to feel grateful for everyone who helped us in getting this message. So back then in the time of the Buddha, there was this Venerable Ananda Thero. He had amazing memory. You have heard of photographic memory. So he has something like that where when he hears something once, he remembers it, which is amazing. And he was fortunate to be by the Buddha's side a lot. And he heard all the sermons, and he had a request to the Buddha because he was assisting the Buddha as well, and that any sermon that was preached in his absence, that the Buddha will preach it back again to him. So he became such a source of, he was a library of the spoken word of the Buddha. He was a library, and we didn't have YouTube and everything to record these things. We didn't have books to be written. These were all committed into memory. And 3 months after the passing away of the Buddha, all enlightened beings assembled, and a group of enlightened beings, and they said, let us formalize the teachings of the Buddha so that it, over time and space, it doesn't get eroded, it doesn't get misinterpreted. And Venerable Ananda was a crucial, important factor for those words of the Buddha to get cast into memory and then handed down from generation to generation by memory, verbally handed down by memory. And then eventually it got written, and now all of this is available in the form of the Tripitaka, where it was written in pen drives. You can get the entire Tripitaka in the pen drive. But a lot of the monks, I learned from what they said is, don't pursue that academic interest. Wanting to go through the Tripitaka and all of that is an academic. What the Buddha preached for people like you and me was things like this. And that is to observe in your daily life how you are enslaved, unconsciously enslaved to this automatic process. That is the teaching. Because only through this observation you come out of it. So you don't need that academic process. And for 45 years, the Buddha preached, and he preached because there were different people he met, and he was a master teacher where he could preach differently to suit the audience. And that is why there are so many ways of saying things. The message has been delivered in so many ways. And in the process, he was also a social reformer, where he spoke about many other things as well, like children's duties to the parents, students' duties to the teachers, and so on. So very, very valuable things. A spouse's duty towards the other spouse, a friend's duty towards friends, employers' duties towards the employees, and so on. And vice versa, reciprocating duties towards each other. And all of these important things also got preached in the process. Originally, the intention was to help people to understand about this automatic process and how you can come out of it. So when we are grateful to the Buddha, We also need to be grateful to the Dhamma, which is the word, and the Mahasangha, who over the last 2,600 years, up to now, right up to now, continuously are carrying this torch, carrying the flag, carrying the message, and with a lot of effort and compassion and loving kindness, helping us to understand. And there are some really, really amazing talks by really amazing monks and laymen going around. So today, if we are here trying to understand something, it's thanks to all of those people. And this is why in the Ratana Sutra, which is the sutra that talks of the precious jewel, the Buddha is a precious jewel, the Dhamma is a precious jewel, and the Sangha is the precious jewel. Because if it weren't for the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, we won't have this opportunity. So that is the first level of gratefulness. The second level of gratefulness is be grateful to your parents, because if it weren't for them, you won't be born today, now, and have this opportunity, this amazing opportunity to come across this amazing, precious jewel of Dhamma. So thank God. Thank God is a phrase. Thanks to your parents that they chose to have you, because they can also choose to abort you, right? So they chose to have you, and then once they chose to have you, they chose to nurture you and nourish you so that you grew strong physically and mentally, and now you are in a state, you are an independent person, in a state where you can decide to pursue this path of enlightenment. This is your choice. But so thankful to your parents for giving you that birth and then nurturing you and helping you to be who you are today. And then all the teachers from the time you are born up to now who taught you what is good and bad and right and wrong, because this path is accessible to the virtuous people with strong moral discipline, strong moral compass of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, and purpose, having a strong purpose to be helpful, to serve others, to be generous, to be compassionate. Those are the people who get attracted to this path. So be very, very, very thankful, grateful to everyone who, including your parents, your teachers, your Kalyana Mitras. Kalyana Mitras are friends who guide you, support you to do the right thing, who helped you to come and all contributed to you being here today, listening and wanting to get enlightened. Let us be grateful, therefore. And then be grateful for your physical well-being, mental well-being, because our body is very fragile. It could be dead in the next minute, it could be sick in the next minute. So while we are physically healthy and fit, mentally healthy and fit, we are using our time today very wisely for something very useful. And this is your past meritorious deeds as well, which is helping you to be in this moment. So feel very grateful about all of these as well. Whole feeling of gratefulness. And with this feeling of gratefulness, now let us practice loving kindness. Loving kindness, compassion to all beings, because the Buddha once said, he just touched a bit of soil, shook his hand, and then asked Venerable Ananda, now there is a bit of sand poured under my nail. What is greater, the sand under my nail or sand on in this world, in this planet? So obviously, Venerable Ananda replied, the sand on the planet or this earth is much greater, far more greater. And so it is, Ananda. While every human has the potential to understand this and get out of this enslavery, it's unconscious slavery to this automatic process. Very few, like the sand under my fingernail, would want to do it, would be interested. Very few will be interested. Even though the knowledge is available, even though the tools are there, it's freely available for anyone. Nobody can stop you from going into YouTube and listening to any talk. There are thousands of talks on this in multiple languages. It's accessible to anybody in the world, but very few will be interested. So therefore, we need to feel compassion and loving kindness towards our fellow humans. Because what an opportunity that they are going to miss consciously. Consciously miss out. Think of Buddhists who are not interested in this. They're interested in rites and rituals. They're interested in the theory. They're interested in the academic progression they can make. And maybe they will be successful in those. We don't know. And this is a place to hope that they be successful. So loving kindness is about that. Loving kindness is that if somebody is pursuing it in other means, when the Buddha said Ekana Maggo, he didn't refer to rites and rituals, he didn't refer to an academic process. But then again, we are not the ones to be in judgment of that. So if that is what people want to do, then we can hope that they are successful. And for those who are not even aware of this beautiful, this precious gem, that is where the compassion and the loving kindness, and may they in some way accidentally stumble upon this and get some interest and feel some peace in some way or the other. And this is why we need to spread loving kindness universally to any being that is born. Every being that is born is subject to this unconscious enslavery. So let us practice love and kindness. And just like in the plane, the oxygen mask, you need to put the oxygen mask first in case of the oxygen levels coming down in the plane. Similarly, the Buddha invented this to the world. Take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself first so that you have the strength and the ability to take care of others. So this loving kindness, this compassion is for us first, because we are not enlightened beings yet, and there's a lot of grief that we still unconsciously go through in this process. And the path to enlightenment also is therefore impacted by this unconscious process. It's easy to give up, easy to get frustrated, easy to get irritated. Imagine getting frustrated and irritated in searching for peace. That sounds so ironic, but that is what happens. So therefore, we need this compassion first to ourselves. We need loving kindness first to ourselves. So let us start, friends. This starts our 1 hour of meditation. We'll start with the guided meditation first. Loving kindness guided meditation. And after the instructions, I will pause the recording so that if anybody wants to listen to only the recording, they don't have to stay through an hour of silence. And people who listen have told me that they like the discussion that follows as well. So it's all about the benefit for others. So everything is about benefit for ourselves and for others. So let us start, friends. Sit comfortably in a posture that you can maintain for the next 1 hour. Gently close your eyes. Bring your awareness to the present moment. How do we do this? We can bring our awareness to the present moment by observing our body, observing through our mindset. Bring your attention to your head. Bring your attention to your upper body, the lower body, and your feet. Now we are aware that you are seated, eyes are gently closed, and you are here and now, ready for a meditation session. A lovely, peaceful meditation. Bring your attention with a lot of love to your feet. May my feet be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my feet be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your knees. May my knees be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my knees be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your legs. From the tip of your toes to the start of your pelvic area, the full leg. May my legs be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my legs be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your stomach area. Visualize the food digestive system, all those lovely organs working 24/7 to digest everything you eat and drink. Probably no break, no holiday. May my stomach be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my stomach be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your chest area. Place your heart, your lungs, working since the time we were born until it's the time to leave. May my heart, may my lungs, my chest area be healthy, relaxed, and well. Be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your spinal cord. This beautiful spinal cord made of these rings. It's amazing mechanism, keeping us straight. May my spinal cord be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my spinal cord be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your shoulders. May my shoulders be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my shoulders be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your hands. May my hands be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my hands be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your neck area, the throat, the tube that carries food, the tube that carries oxygen. May you all be healthy, relaxed, and well. Be healthy, relaxed, and well. With a lot of love, bring your attention to your head, your brain, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hair. May my head be healthy, relaxed, and well. May my head be healthy, relaxed, and well. Now let us bless my whole being, me, myself, I. May I be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May I be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. Let us bless with loving kindness to those people we know and we love, and we remember to do this only to people who are still with us, not for people who are left, who are dead and deceased. Start with your family. If your parents are alive, parents, your siblings, your family, your spouse, your children, cousins, aunts, uncles, in-laws. May my loving family healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. Be healthy, happy, relaxed. Think of everyone who you consider a friend, a well-wisher. So again, family, friends, teachers, neighbors, co-workers, anyone and everyone who you consider a friend, a well-wisher. May they all be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May they all be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. Then there are people who we can classify as neutral. So these are people we know, but we are not really engaged with them. We don't know them that well. We have seen them quite frequently, but we haven't really made their acquaintance. They are not really friends, but we know them. We see them regularly. May they all be healthy, relaxed, and well. May they all healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. And then comes a group of people who may have hurt our feelings by the words they spoke, by their actions, their deeds. It may be consciously, it may be unconsciously, but because they hurt our feelings, deep down inside us, there's some level of animosity towards them. Some level, very subtle. It is like it's underneath. It's not at the surface level. It's underneath. Suddenly, it gets sparked when you see them after some time, or when you hear about them. Then the sparks get alive and a small flare starts. But otherwise, it's just lumbering unconsciously. The first step is to forgive them, because they are no different from me and you. We have been this to others. Exactly this. Consciously or unconsciously. Forgive them, love them, bless them, cherish them. May they all be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May they all be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. Now let us bless all beings, anyone who is born in any form, in any plane. To be born is to get caught into this unconscious automatic process. Any being, no matter which plane they are born in, the heavens or the Brahma planes, no matter what plane you are born into, you get caught into, you're part of this unconscious process, automatic process. So therefore, every being that is born in this universe deserves compassion, deserves loving kindness. They deserve to be aware of this. They deserve to come out of it. Let us bless them all. May all beings right now, right here in the place that I am sitting, may all beings be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings in my neighborhood be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings in my city be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings in my country be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings on this planet be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings in this vast universe be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings in this universe be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. May all beings in this universe be healthy, happy, relaxed, and well. And now let us go to the Vipassana meditation. Let us start with focusing on the breath, Anapanasati. From the time we were born, we were breathing. And the breathing is automatic. There's nothing to force. The automatic process. Just to observe. The breath can be observed in three places: near and around your nostril. It can be observed in the gentle rising and falling of the chest. It can be observed in the gentle expansion and the contraction of the stomach. Let us observe the breath. We may begin now observing the breath. Observing the breath is the foundation for the Vipassana technique we want to follow. So keeping this breath as the foundation, meaning keep coming back to the breath. But in the meantime, if you notice that your mind has swayed, got distracted, come back and observe. What were you distracted with? Your eyes are closed, so it's not something that you saw. If we assume that in this posture you are not eating or drinking, so it cannot be your tongue. We also assume that there's really nothing fragrant or unpleasant in a smell. It's not your nose. So what triggered your mind's attention going away from the breath? Was it something you heard, a sound? Was it something you felt on your body, a touch sensation? Or was it a thought that came in? Observe what it is. An external stimulus came in, and there was automatic reaction. And in that automatic reaction, there would have been some flavor, either a liking or a dislike, very subtle, some change in the mood. Can you observe? Can you observe that some stimulus came in? And what happened? Heard a sound. Can you still hear that? Is there some liking that is getting generated automatically, stimulated automatically? Or is there a dislike? It's all part of the automatic process. Or is it a body sensation? Is there some discomfort? Discomforts are amazing things to observe. You can observe what happens when there's a body discomfort. What is the automatic process? What is the urge? That automatic process, there comes an urge to do something, take some action. Can you observe that urge? The urge to change your body posture, maybe. Another thought can come. I feel thirsty. I need to drink something. You can observe the urge that comes with that. The urge to stop what you're doing and to drink something. This is the automatic process. This is what we are trying to observe. How it is happening. Seeing it happen. Seeing the urge. Seeing the like, seeing the dislike. Seeing the urge to want to do something about it. The like and the dislike triggers an urge. And because you're conscious, you observe it. If you're unconscious, you fulfill the urge. The urge gets fulfilled unconsciously. But when you're conscious, you can observe. And as you observe, what happens to that urge? That you can observe. What happens to the urge? Unconsciously, you would have fulfilled it. Now that you're conscious, what happens? Let us observe. Now, let us observe. I will temporarily close the recording. Keep observing. All right. So shall we get some feedback about the session, about any thoughts, comments, and so on? So let's see who is there today. Isuramali, would you like to share some comments?
Thanks, Akka. Yeah, today I found with the meditation practice specifically that I mainly struggle with the mind sense though. I found that the other sense doors don't trouble me that much, but the mind sense door is something that I do struggle with quite a bit, but I am able to kind of observe the way my mind kind of focuses on thoughts and I bring it back in. And it's interesting in the sense that I would assume that the other sense doors would bother me, but they didn't. And I noticed this in past sessions as well. For today's class, I also really liked kind of the teachings of what Akka shared. And there is quite a long list. And I like the theme, which is to be grateful and thankful, and about how there are so many different segments to that we would be thankful for to get to the point where we are now, where we kind of have this opportunity to practice being mindful and meditation and be on this path of awareness. So overall, it was very nice. Thank you. Okay.
Perfect. Can you elaborate on one of the places your mind distracted you?
Certainly, Akka. Yeah. So today I met up with some friends earlier, and so my mind went to what that was like. So essentially, something that I view as happening in the past, and then also I was thinking about necessarily what I would do tomorrow. So my mind also switched essentially to the future as well, and in both cases, I kind of tried to and succeeded in bringing my mind back to the present. And this cycle repeated itself in various forms. So sometimes I would go back a week in the past, and sometimes I'd go back a month in the future. And in each case, I would bring my mind back. And it wasn't necessarily joyful things or painful things. It was just something that my mind is attached to. And I know that is because my mind is essentially drawn to these mind door senses.
Perfect. That's a wonderful sharing, and thank you so much. So, this is what the Buddha referred to as the monkey mind. So, the monkey mind, the nature of the monkey mind is to jump to the past and to jump to the future, because both involve mind activity, a lot of energy in the mind to do that. The present moment is something that the mind is not used to. We are all creatures of habit. So the mind is not used to the present moment, and it is not used to the stillness of the present moment. And this is why the mind, when we are trying to consciously keep it in the present moment, it keeps going back to the unconscious habits of the past, which is to spend time in the past and spend time in the future. And you are right. Sometimes the things in the past can be regretful, but most often it's just replaying things in the past, and there's not really anything the matter with it. Sometimes the things of the future can create agitation in us, give this sense of urgency to do something, or sometimes it could be just running through the things to do list or certain things we need to do. And in your case, you felt it was not agitating. In my case, whenever I think of things that I can do to improve things or better something, there's this huge sense of urgency that rises where often I feel like stopping what I'm doing and attending to that. And today such urges kept arising to stop the meditation and do something else, and then come back to guide the class. And so it was also an opportunity to watch that, because in general, we would just give in to that urge and go with the flow. But we are consciously observing that, how that urge comes up. And so these are opportunities to see the process work, how this natural process is working, and how these automatic reactions just keep coming up inside us. And to be aware that we are building a new habit format, and we need to give it that time, but also we need to slowly step up the frequency so that we do justice to that whole new building. Does that make sense?
Yes, Akka. Thank you for the explanation.
Thanks for that sharing. That's great. Chanaki or Samanthi, to Samanthi, same Samanthi. Would you like to share something?
Hi, Nadiaka.
Hi, Chanaki.
Thank you very much. So I feel like I'd be echoing Isuru's thoughts word for word, because that was exactly what I felt as well. I was very grateful for the gratefulness awareness, because to just tell ourselves again and again what a precious jewel this is, what a great opportunity it is. I think, you know, even though we know it, it's good to have that reminder from time to time. So that was really wonderful. And I had the same, so just like Isuru said, my mind, I think it's the worst of monkey minds. It just jumps all over the place. And today it went to the past and just to yesterday, because I also met a group of friends, and I just went back to the conversations, not that they were particularly good or bad, but just going back. And I mean, it was friends, but also my boss. So I was thinking of, oh, should I have said that instead? Would that have been a better thing to say? So for no reason, it just went back to that. And I would pull my mind back in, but it kept going back. But the other senses, I felt like I wasn't bothered about what I was hearing, or, you know, I mean, no thoughts of, am I getting hungry or physically restless? It's just the mind. So that was what I felt.
Thank you so much. That is such a valuable sharing from both of you. Now, the Buddha had mentioned that often, if you like, put some statistics behind it. Majority of the time when we spend time in the past, there are feelings of regret. And I think I heard something of the sort. And these regrets are not like very serious, depressing regrets, but these are feelings of, I should have said this, I should have said that, or those missed opportunities. And this unconscious process, something very intriguing about it is how it gives us this feeling of something is real. So for example, what happened in the past is gone, it's dead and gone and never to rise again. However, when we relive it in our mind, it seems so real that we want to project scenarios into it and look at it like, if I said this or if I said that, and it's because those past memories seem so real. And this is the whole ignorance part that you and I and everybody are subject to. And it might be good to just observe that ignorance part behind that, because that memory seems so real. And that we keep playing with it. And this is all, again, while it seems to be something that is coming up in my mind at this point, it's, if you think of it as universal, right? The human species, the mind design, if you think of it as a universal design, this is how it is meant to run. So what you are experiencing, what Isuru is experiencing, this is the program. This was meant to be like this, right? And it is good to start seeing it now. Yes, you're seeing the program running. You're seeing it. Whereas, let's say maybe some time ago, you were not aware that this is a design principle. It was meant to be like this. So now we can slowly start looking into why this is real, seems real, Why is this entertaining? It is entertaining, and that's why we keep going to the past and the future, because it is far more entertaining than the stillness of the present moment. And it's a habit. It's entertaining. It's a habit. There's entertainment in regret. There's entertainment in frustration. There's entertainment in irritation. There's entertainment in anger, and there's entertainment in sadness also. And if you see the kind of movies we get drawn to, we hardly get drawn to something that is still, and such things don't get produced also. But if you see, everything is about these, it's because they are very entertaining. So these are again past habits, part of the program, the design, which ultimately is aimed to, like I said, right, everything about nature is aimed to this one conclusion. So when you start deciphering it and seeing it slowly, an awareness start to come from within, that this is not useful. This is not of value. As that awareness starts coming from within, the value we have placed on this entertainment starts diminishing. All these past habits got created because there was a value in it. There's something we value in it. And that value starts diminishing. Does that make sense?
Yes, Nadia, that makes perfect sense. I feel like I know there's no value, and yet I still do it.
Absolutely, we are all in it. I mean, I resonate really well when you mention that your mind goes everywhere. So some people's minds are more jumpy than others, and certainly my mind is like that. It's sometimes I can't keep track with mine. It goes so fast into so many things, and I think you can resonate with that. Even if I start writing it down as a things to do list, that these are some things I need to explore, I still can't keep up because it just goes so fast into so many things. And then that is the nature of some minds. And it's good to observe it then. It's good to observe whatever it is, whatever it is. It's, I think it was Ajahn Sumedho, Ajahn Ram, who mentioned that this is also entertaining, right? Because we have to start from where we are right now. And right now we are habitually creatures of habit that looks for entertainment unconsciously. So looking, this is also entertaining to observe. Now this is how you spark the interest to start observing. This is also entertaining because it's a lot of research, curiosity, discovery. We're discovering something, pioneering something for yourself. Like the Star Trek, what does it say? Boldly going where you have not gone before, right? So, oops, my battery is about to go. So, thank you so much, Shanti. Samanthi, would you like to share something?
Yes, Nad. Very thank you for today's program, and I'm really impressed the way you started the Dhamma talk today, and throughout you explained it like I have never heard it before, because I totally agree that you said we are the slaves of an automatic process. That's really, really stuck my mind to think like that. Yes, I'm like, we are all slaves, because that in the sense of when we are started meditating, only that we realize that there's something else also. Otherwise, all the time we are slaves. Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful to my Kalyana Mitra Chanaki, who introduced me to this Dhamma program. Without her, I won't be able to join this program. Even that earlier also I wanted to join so many meditation programs, but I couldn't with many reasons. Today we started with the Metta Bhavana, and it really relieved my mind, relieved of all my pains. And when I started this Anapanasati, first my monkey mind jumped all over the places. I really agree with Chanaki. And but after few minutes, like I was in a state, a very peaceful mind, very relieved. Like I was like without knowing any other things happening, just concentrated on the breath. And today, my neighbor, he has started mowing his lawn. No, on a normal day, my goodness, I will be very, very annoyed to hear that noise. But despite that noise, I was sitting in a place where this noise is coming very loudly, but I was able to keep my mindset on the present moment. Thank you so much for you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. And if the neighbor is still more moving his lawn, just remember it's a sound. For your ear, it's just a sound wave, nothing else. The story, the drama we create in our minds as part of the automatic process. But for the ear, it's just sound. And the Buddha said, stay at the base level of your sense doors. If you stay at that level, it's just a light, it's just a color, it's just a sound. It's very neutral. There's no judgment there. And mindfulness is all about being present in the moment with no judgment. Just being present with the awareness that there's something is being seen, something is being heard. Just a bare awareness. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for this very, very rich discussion. Really grateful for your participation and your contribution. And let us now pass this merit to all of our beloved friends and relations who have passed and who are in need of this merit. And anybody else who needs this merit, may this merit go to them. And may you all benefit from this merit. May you all be healthy and happy and realize this beautiful gem of enlightenment. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you all be blessed with the noble triple gem. Peruan Sarana.
Therun Saranai.
I will end the recording.